Jen, my friend, how are you?
Good. How are you, Steve?
Doing really good. It's a beautiful day here in Southern California. 104 degrees, I think it's going to get up to today. So,
Oh, great.
yeah. So, I'm happy to do this in air conditioning as opposed to sitting outside baking. So, yeah.
Nice. Nice.
Well, good to see you. Congratulations on the launch for the ADX 5 today.
Thank you.
Big day
Super
for you.
excited. Super
Yeah,
excited. We like,
yeah, I'm sure you are. Our customers are excited too. There's been some rumors swirling around about it, and a lot of people very anxious to learn about it. The ADX5 is part of the Axion family, which is a system that's been around for quite a while for you guys. Really kind of more leaning towards the live sound reinforcement, festival stuff, music kind of stuff. Not so much in our market up to this point. Can you give us kind of an overview of the Axion system overall?
yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad we're talking about it because it is like, though it has been out in the market for a while, it's been like the touring or the broadcast. It hasn't so much been in location sound. And so we're starting to get more adoption in this unique world, right? So Axion Digital it is our flagship, top of the line wireless. It's a true digital diversity. So true diversity as well as digital. The modem was created with high noise floor in mind. So those of you who are in challenging RF, which is LA for sure,
Sure. Yeah.
um, it is made specifically to deal with really gnarly RF situations, right? So it does a really great job of holding on to
Is
that
gnarly a technical term?
I'm going to use it. But I mean, you guys are running into just, all kinds of RF challenges. And so not only does it hold on to that RF link really well, it's extremely linear. You can get a lot of channels in the space you're working with. So we're talking like 17 channels per 6 megahertz if you're running in standard mode, and then over 40 if you're running in high density mode. So I cannot say enough about how well the system does with challenging RF. Really, that's what it was made for. On top of that, it sounds fantastic. It's a great, like we talk about all these RF bells and whistles and things. But at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
sure,
if the audio doesn't sound good, who cares about how good the RF is? But the audio sounds great, and
sure.
that's been one of the things that we've heard now that the location industry has gotten into it, especially because you're trying to get that very clean dialogue, right? So everybody's been
Right.
super happy with that. So we have a couple of different receivers for the rack. We have a dual and a quad. They're available DC powered for those folks on a cart. And then we have a technology that we call ShowLink, and ShowLink is our transmitter remote control. So any of our ADX transmitters actually have real time control when you sync it up to that receiver channel. So it makes life a lot easier. Once you sync it up to that channel, you can make any changes via the receiver, via our wireless workbench software. We also have an iOS and Android app as well. So you put that transmitter on your talent, and then you don't have to touch it again, right? You can just if you have to change
Right.
frequency or anything, um, it makes it very simple to work with, and hopefully takes some of that, just makes it faster, to get your job
Sure.
done
Yeah.
easier, right? And then the last
Yeah.
piece that I didn't mention is we have this spectrum manager, which actually manages, you give it your backup frequency list. The system can detect interference and move away from it automatically or manually, depending on how you want to run it. So, really it's a system designed around very challenging RF. And
Well, before we get into the the portable receiver, a
yeah,
few of our customers have actually already rolled into the Axion system with the full rack mount 84Q and 84, and they've been utilizing the Spectrum Manager and the Show Link, right?
yep,
Um,
absolutely.
let's talk a little bit about some of these customers who've actually already moved into the system.
Yeah, totally. So there's two that I'd like to. I got some cart pictures. They were very
Great.
generous with us. So the first one I want to talk about is Jamie Gamble. Jamie Gamble invested in the system before his last production. He's working. This was some pictures from Cheaper by the Dozen, which is a Disney Plus situation. And you see he has these micro transmitters that I think we're going to talk about a little bit more.
Yeah, sure.
You know, really made to be hidden very well on talent. So this is a picture of Jamie's cart that he's running with. And then our second user is Bill Kaplan. And Bill Kaplan, I think everybody's familiar with. He actually just got the CAS Lifetime Achievement Award this year, which
he sure did. Yeah.
amazing. So this a couple pictures that Bill sent me of his cart, and he used it on the morning show, which is an Apple show. And he actually sent me this really great quote about his experience. Said to mention that they were averaging 6 to 12 radio mics 5 days a week for months on the Sony stages, downtown LA, Santa Anita racetrack, just under Mount Wilson, with all the broadcasting antennas. Never one hit with many hundreds of uses.
Amazing. Yeah, that's a great statement to make for that location. If you know anything about Southern California, you know that's among one of the worst places you can actually be RF wise. Yeah, and I'm very curious about the ADX1M also, because when I first really learned about the system and looked at the choices of transmitters, my assumption was everyone would go with the standard ADX1 because of the external antenna. But it's actually been the opposite. All of the users who have become early adopters have really moved all the way into the rechargeable ADX1M. And it seems to have some really good performance based on some of the technology in it. I was really amazed to learn about the whole 3 antenna configuration of this transmitter, how there's a standard antenna, you have the show link antenna, of course, for data back and forth. And then there was this third antenna that I was really unclear about. You schooled me on the other day. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, as those of you who've worked with RF, you know, as soon as you put a transmitter on a person, we absorb RF. We're big sacks of seawater, right? So, you know, we wanted to make something that was really tuned to be body worn. So a couple of things came out of that. So this is the ADX1M. First of all, you'll notice that it's very small, it's lightweight, and it's curved on all sides. So much easier for the costume designers, but also more comfortable to wear.
The talent really for that.
The talent definitely appreciates that.
Yeah.
So that third antenna that we're talking about has to do with that load. So basically when we put a transmitter on us, we're effectively detuning the antenna, right? Antennas are made to operate in free space. So, you know, when you touch it to a human, we've detuned the antenna. So what that third antenna does is the measurement antenna. And so it measures what that load looks like, and it will electrically retune the internal antenna to give you back about 3 to 5 dB of power. So it's very efficient when you're wearing it.
That sounds like voodoo to me.
I'm sorry?
Sounds like voodoo to me. I don't know. That's amazing. That's amazing technology.
It is super cool technology. And then also, you know, you have less breakage with the recessed mic jack.
Sure, yeah.
Water resistant for your 104-degree Southern California days.
Yeah. Excellent.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So you want to talk about
this? Let's talk about this. So we basically took
this is actually channel. For those watching, this is actually Jen's receiver that I've taken hostage and I've refused to return to her.
Oh, he totally has.
Yeah, this is the ADX5 that we're talking about. And this is what we're here to discuss. A new portable receiver for our market, which is something that's been a long time coming. Now, the ADX5 is a 2-channel digital receiver. and it has the options of bottoms on it, just like whatever your need is. So you can either have, you know, the dual TA3s, or right, or you can have the slot on it. So yeah, it's pretty flexible, right?
Quite flexible. So, you know, we wanted to make it for, you know, location sound has been around for a long time. There's a lot of workflows that are quite well established. So we wanted to make sure that all the users had whatever backplate options that they were looking for, just so they could integrate into their setup that they, you know, they already have. So make it as easy as possible.
So you can use it in your bag with the dual TA3s, or you can use it in a slotted configuration for like SuperSlot. Talk to us a little bit about SuperSlot in the ADX5.
Yeah, so we have a SuperSlot, obviously. So this is the back plate. So what Steve had showed you is our TA3 back plate that he has hooked up. There's a spacer that you may need to use depending on what accessory you're using with the SuperSlot. We do have a couple things that are special depending on what sort of backplate that you're working with. So we talked a little bit about ShowLink, and I'm going to dig into the ShowLink modes in a sec. So there's that automatic frequency change, and then there's transmitter remote control, right? So if you're using the DB15 or the DB25, if you plug them in, the automatic goes away. That's for people that have like the full ShowLink antenna spectrum manager cart situation. Generally, that would be how they're running. But with the DB25, so if you have a serial communication running, ShowLink is not enabled. So just sort of a heads up as far as depending on how you're setting it up.
So if you're running it into a SuperSlot compatible device like an SL6 or an SL2, the ShowLink is disabled when you plug it in. Is that correct?
It is if there's communication happening, you can use it just to power though.
Okay, excellent. All right.
But since you started talking about ShowLink, let's talk about the different ShowLink modes that we have with this, because what's cool about this is there's actually 2 different modes that you can run in depending on how you prefer to run stuff. So if you see on this, I'm going to try to see if my thing will decide to focus. It's being squirrely today. So this little antenna up here, so that's a little ShowLink antenna that's built into the system itself. So there's 2 modes that you can run with. There's a ShowLink Direct mode and there's a ShowLink Network mode. So ShowLink Direct mode knows, like we know a lot of the location sound people are just strictly bag only, especially the reality folks.
Right.
So that way you can communicate directly with the transmitter from the unit itself. So when you IR sync the transmitter, send it out on your talent, and then if you change the frequency or whatever on here, talent will get the new frequency. So you're good to go just with the ADX5 and your transmitter, as long as it's an ADX transmitter. Now the other mode, and this would be for like the combo cart folks, like Jamie or Bill's carts, for instance, they have a full ShowLink network set up. And so what you do is you actually flip the ADX5 into a ShowLink network mode. I'm going to grab more stuff here. So this guy, and I don't have this powered up right now. So this is our AD610. This is our ShowLink access point. This is actually what the receivers, if you're working in a rack situation where you have the spectrum manager, where you have the AD4Q or duals or whatever, you're going to add an AD610, and this is what sends that communication to those transmitters, right? So what you do is when you flip the ADX5 into network mode, it actually can talk to that AD610, and that enables quite a few other things actually. So if you have it integrated with the spectrum manager, it can get new frequencies from it, and then you can do really cool things like if you have Wireless Workbench running, which is our software platform on Mac or PC, free software by the way, so you can like go crazy on that. It'll actually show up in Wireless Workbench. So I can pull scan data in from my ADX5D, even if it's out on the field. I can make changes to it. I have all those metrics. And there's a really cool feature called Timeline that actually is a full monitoring. So I can track my RF, I can track my audio, and it's just records that into the system itself. So that way I can have all of those metrics at my computer if I want to work that way.
Excellent. Nice. So I've got two kinds of range anxiety in my life. One is I get into my electric car and my daughter didn't plug it in the night before, and then I can't come to work. The other is in my professional life, was customers have been really concerned about range issues with digital, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in analog, in the end, it hangs in there. It breaks up a little bit, may get a little ratty there at the end, but you still sort of got it. The digital realm, of course, it's pretty much perfect until it's gone,
Yep.
right?
Mhm.
What sort of improvements are we seeing now in these digital systems that improve the sort of range and can allow our customer base to get a little bit more confident in investing in and getting behind full digital wireless?
Yeah. Yeah, actually a lot of things. So as I mentioned before, with having a modem that was designed for gnarly RF. So you're looking at something that has true digital diversity. So it's got full receiver coming in from both your A and B antennas, right? But we also have error correction in, and we can compare those bit streams. So it really does a fantastic job of like holding on to the RF. So what you're seeing is that, when you're working with an analog system, you actually had to run at higher power levels than you do with a digital system, right? Because with an analog system, like because of like the way analog RF worked, you had to be like 15 to 20 dB above the noise floor, right? So you really had to get that
Yeah.
power out there. When you're working with a digital system, you can get like within 6 dB of the noise floor. So, and that's actually been kind of an interesting thing as people are migrating to digital. Um, 10 milliwatts digital is more like a 50 milliwatt analog.
Yeah, it's almost apples and
Right.
oranges. Yeah,
So like just getting used to new power settings has like, oh
yeah.
yeah, I'm used to running at like, 50 milliwatts. Well, you don't need to do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
right?
Our
So it's,
customers want to bully their way through into any frequencies that they're using. It's a whole other mindset in the digital realm, right?
yeah. Yeah, but once they get used to it, I mean, you can get some really fantastic range, and you can measure all of that. And then on top of that, so you'll see here, um, so we have the regular RF meter, and then there's that 5-bar meter, and obviously my transmitters are sitting right there. So that's actually what we call a quality meter, and what that quality meter is showing us is that signal to noise, right? And that's really more informative of what your range is going to look right? So if like somebody
Yeah.
turns on a transmitter on top of my frequency but isn't quite as powerful as mine, my range is going to be reduced significantly, but I won't necessarily see that right away, right?
Mhm.
Until I start getting further away from the receiver. So now you have actually a way to tell, like if you see 5 bars on your RF, it's like cool. I see my transmitter, but if you see like 2 or 3 bars on my quality meter, that means your noise floor underneath that is pretty high.
Right.
So you
Yeah.
actually have more information earlier, so you can make choices about where to go. And then if you have show length, just move away from that crappy frequency
Right.
and
Yeah.
for some better performance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Now on the ADX5, I noticed one thing that's really interesting is that you actually can monitor from the receiver. I thought that was a great addition that was put on there. And then
Yeah.
there's also a USB plug here. Yeah, right there. Now, what is that used for? The
So the
USB
USB is for firmware updates.
firmware updates only. Okay.
Firmware updates
And then on
only.
the
Yep.
on the external plug on the back, what is this strange plug on the back of this?
Oh, the Hiroshi or
Not the
or
Hiroshi
the
for
four
power,
pin?
but this one right here.
Yeah, the 4-pin. Okay, so I'll show
Yeah,
you
yeah,
my
yeah.
setup with the most enormous battery I've ever seen that I purchased from you, actually. Um, So that's for one of our accessories, actually. So if you want to power your receiver, this is, you typically see this for cameras, right?
Yeah.
So with the L-type battery, the Sony batteries, right? We have this
Mhm.
great little accessory that slides on, and that's what connects to those 4 pins right there. You can
It's
put
your battery sled configuration, right?
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
And then I hooked up the little cheese plate mounting adapter
very
as
sexy,
well.
very
So
nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're working with a camera, that's a great way to go. And I've actually been running around with this doing my demos, so I didn't have to be
Right.
on a cord.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah.
Well, great. This is very exciting. And now availability, we're going to start seeing these units relatively quickly.
Yeah, so we're saying we're shipping this summer, but we've started trickling some out the door already. So very, very exciting. So get your order in. Talk to Steve. Talk to
Talk to
Val.
me. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. We're taking orders. Um, uh, Anything else our customers should know about this that I've missed in our little conversation here?
Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention channels. And actually this device will show up on channels. Channels is an iOS and Android app we have as well. In fact, actually, I
You actually put that on your notes here, but I had no idea what that meant. So I thought it
oh,
might.
got it. Yeah.
Oh,
So
I'm like,
so that's a
channels.
free
What is?
download from either the Google Play Store or
Yeah.
the Apple App Store. You do have to set up an additional Wi-Fi because that's what's going to connect to your phone or your iPad. But then you have all of those monitoring metrics on a portable device too, instead of having to do it on your laptop.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's like a perfect audio utility tool, right?
Right. Perfect. That's all I got.
All right. Well, actually, let's talk about transmitters a minute. I don't know if somebody's monitoring the social stream because I'm not. So I'm going
Okay.
to throw some questions. Other transmitter, we talked mostly about the ADX1M.
Yeah.
I think when you're talking about miking talent, that's going to be your choice for that. I am seeing some folks for like the really long throw, like walk and talk situations or car stuff, right? Pick up the ADX1. So that's the bigger transmitter. I think this is probably the one that you suspected most people would get with the external antenna.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, so the reason why you might want to add like one or two of these to your situation is that the ADX1M, this guy, top power is 20 milliwatts. And then with this one, you can go up to 40 milliwatts. So if you're really trying to like go across the football field kind of situation and you do need that extra juice, this is the transmitter that's going to get you there. So other transmitters we see, like if you don't, because the ADX transmitters are a little bit more expensive because they have the whole show link situation. We do have the AD level transmitters. So as you can see, they're quite a bit bigger, works with a couple double A's. And then like if you're also for specialty stuff, we have Q5X transmitters. And that may not be a company that like we don't actually make these. We actually give them Axion Digital chips. So like their transmitters actually work with our stuff, and these do work with the ADX5. So if you're doing totally submerged, I'm gonna like dive into the ocean. We have a waterproof transmitter, and those of you who are basketball fans, there's a player mic which is soft. So this is how they're picking up player sounds for NBA games. So these all talk to Axion Digital, and therefore all talk to this portable receiver that we're
Now there's
launching.
an 83 plug-on transmitter also, but
Yes,
that's not in the X series, right?
that's right. So we also have a plug-on transmitter. I see Mark threw up a picture of that. So we also have shotgun microphones. So that VP89L, that's what he has plugged into that. But we do have a little portable plug-on transmitter. It does do phantom power along with it, and it works with either a couple double A's or our rechargeable batteries. And actually, I realized I didn't talk about how cool the rechargeable batteries are. I don't know if you can see it on this, if it'll focus in.
Mhm.
It probably won't focus in. So the one thing that's super cool about our batteries is we actually have a chip inside them that reads off of them. So when you're looking at the battery metrics, on your receiver or on your transmitter, it'll say I have 4 hours and 8 minutes left, right? Instead of
Right.
looking at 3 bars and going like, how long have I been at 3 bars? What does that mean? You know,
Yeah.
so
What does that mean
what does that
exactly? I'm
mean
not.
exactly? We
Yeah.
tell you
Yeah.
exactly what that means. So
Yeah.
having that enough, that kind of detail to know, like, am I going to make it through this next scene, or do I need to get the transmitter back to change the batteries, right?
Right.
Having that confidence is definitely a perk of the Axion rechargeable batteries.
And of course, there's the whole line of handhelds with different capsules that you can interchange out if you wanted to do, that
Mhm.
whole thing too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, it looks like we found some questions. Question came up on pricing. So, of course, that's important. So map pricing for this is
Yeah.
$2,500.
$2,500. Yeah.
So hopefully that seems very palatable for people. That does not come with a back plate, just because we don't know what your setup is. We don't want to send you the
Yeah.
wrong
You'll
back
have to
plate.
decide
So,
exactly what you want for the bottom, but then the back plate is the additional charge. Yeah.
yep, exactly.
Absolutely. And we're stocking both. We're going to be stocking both the external bottom plate and the SuperSlot version. So
Great.
they'll both be here. Just basically let us know what you want, and we can deliver on those.
Awesome. All right. So it looks like okay, so Marcus said, use a cart set up with 384 cues, but when I go to the bag, I will lose my Spectrum Manager. I plan on using the Find Best feature on the ADX 5D in case I run into trouble after switching to the bag. Yes, actually, let's talk about that. So
Yeah.
there's a couple different ways of finding frequencies on the receiver itself. So if you've never used any Shure stuff, all of our receivers scan, and they do have built-in frequency calculators, right? And so that's what Marcus is talking about. So there's two different ways of doing the scan. You can do Find Best, which will go through like the whole tunable range and go like, this is the best frequency, lowest noise floor, all of that good stuff. You could also do, if you want something quicker, you can pick Find Next, and then it'll just be like, quick, go, right? And then away you go then. So
Yeah. They scan pretty fast too. In our tests here in the store, we found that the ADX5 scanned very quickly, so it was very useful.
cool. Okay, so Jamie, hey Jamie's
Hey, Jamie.
so Jamie Gamble's here. Thank you for the cart pictures, Jamie.
Thanks, Jamie.
So if someone puts an ADX5 into a multi-slot device like a PSC 8-pack, you will lose the show link, but can you still control the individual unit to the pack? So that depends on what communication that you have going. So the PSC 8-pack is just a SuperSlot connector, as far as I understand. So if you're using that to power the device, you won't have the automatic frequency change. And I know Jamie does use that feature, but you still will have show link. However, if you once you start having communication going through that SuperSlot port, then show link is turned off. So that's the difference between ways of operating that way.
Right.
So and David says, is it possible to eliminate frequencies from the system? I work at a university and we want to make sure our students staff of the frequencies used on our stages. Okay, cool. So yeah, actually, you would need to do a little bit more than working with the receiver itself.
You have to do that through Wireless Workbench, right?
Wireless Workbench is definitely the best
Yeah.
way to do it, because there are controls in the frequency coordination. The other thing actually I see people use is that you can actually put in your own frequency user groups into the receiver. So you can actually coordinate your entire frequency list that is allowable at this for that particular venue, and just say like only change within this user group. And in fact, once that user group is selected, when you do that find next or find best, it can go through that.
They'll stay within that user group. Yeah.
Yeah. So that way you have confined people to a particular frequency list. Otherwise, if you're just trying to do just generic blackout areas, you do need to integrate Wireless Workbench to do that.
Right. That's a good question.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else coming in? Is there anything else that you want to talk about, Steve?
No, I think that pretty much, covers,
Yeah.
what we want. A lot of people are going to want to get their hands on. That's really the next step for people if they want to, try out a new technology and a new product. So I'll just say that, we'll have a demo here. You can come in and check it out and play with it and ask as many questions as you might have. And we'll see how this does. I think it's going to be very, very successful in our market.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody soon. I think we're gonna try to plan some events. Oh wait,
our friend John Ehrlicher out of Chicago.
Yeah, John Ehrlicher is chopping in. He was at the last one too.
Yeah. Hi, John.
Hi, John. So we talked about John's question already. So let's see. Yes. So with David's question, will the receiver remember those groups after restart? Yes. So when we were talking about those frequency groups that you're working with, and then the same thing, like whatever it's programmed to, like if you lose power and it comes back in the state that it was in prior. It's not like the receiver is going to reset. You'll be on the same frequency. Your user group will still be there. All of those settings that you put into the receiver are stored within the receiver themselves. So yeah, so that would be your no wireless workbench connection situation. Cool. All right. Well, if there's no more questions.
Everybody knows everything they ever want to know about this product now. We've done our jobs.
Awesome. Or they've watched the other 3 webinars that we've done. No, it's great. Everybody call Steve. Check this out. He's got a unit. They have demo units to try. So take it for a spin, right?
Absolutely.
Figure out how it works with your use floor. It's a little bit different in the way it operates than, if you've never used Shure before. We do things a little bit differently, but hopefully, after like 5 minutes or so, you figure out like, okay, hopefully it'll save you time. We think we did a good job with that.
It's pretty intuitive. I think once you open up the menu and start scrolling through it pretty quickly, you'll see that it's pretty easy to operate.
Perfect.
It's so good seeing you again, Jen.
Nice seeing you, Steve.
Okay, we'll talk again soon.
Take care. Thanks, everybody.
Okay. Bye.